Why most business ideas in Nigeria fail? If you clicked on this video, you are probably looking for a list of profitable business ideas you can start in Nigeria right now. But if you search YouTube or Google, you'll find the exact same list on 20 different channels and websites. Many of them are telling you to start a POS business, open a unisex salon, sell frozen chicken, or buy goods from China to resell on Instagram and other social media platforms. I'm not going to be giving you that generic list today, and here's why. If a business idea is already sitting on a public top 10 list online, it means thousands of people are probably copying it right now, which means the profit margin are already shrinking to zero. In this video, I'm going to be giving you something much more valuable. You walk away with a simple 3-step system that allows you to spot high margin, recession-proof business opportunities in Nigeria before anyone else can start copying them. I'm going to show you why low capital businesses get crowded so fast in Nigeria and how to avoid that trap. The exact formula you can use to find business opportunities that make money no matter how high inflation is or how bad the economy goes in Nigeria. And I will give you a real-world case study in the food sector, showing you how to find a high-profit business hidden inside an everyday problem. If you want to stop guessing and stop copying saturated and overcrowded business ideas and learn how to identify real opportunities for yourself, let's look inside the system. The truth about popular business ideas in Nigeria. When most people decide to start a business in Nigeria, they look around at what seems to be working for other people. They see 5 POS stands and notice that everyone seems to be having customers. And then they think maybe they should put their own kiosk very close to this person and maybe they will get their own share of the profit in the market. Or sometimes they see someone selling fashion items on Instagram and assume that because the person has 50,000 followers, the owner must be making millions, you understand? And this is what I call looking at the surface. You're just looking at the surface. If you see an activity, you see money changing hands and you assume that there's an opportunity, then you're just thinking on the surface. So you copy what you see on the outside without ever understanding the hidden costs, the stress behind the scenes, and how much money is actually left as real profit for this person that is running the business. Why low capital businesses get saturated and overcrowded very fast in Nigeria? The issue with copying popular business ideas in Nigeria is that it completely ignores how crowded the market is and how expensive it is to run the business. Let's take the POS business again as an example. When agency banking started and we started seeing a whole lot of fintech startups that were expanding aggressively across Nigeria, early operators made very good money, if you guys remember very well. The system had huge problems because banks were always far away, ATMs were constantly out of cash, and people needed physical cash. Take note, if you remember this era, you understand what I'm talking about. The early operators made a high profit because they were solving a painful, urgent problem for their audiences, for their neighbors. You understand? But as hundreds of thousands of people jumped into that exact same business, they were doing the same thing. 2 things started happening. First, the fee you could charge per transaction then dropped because customers had 10 other choices. It was overcrowded. There were many choices on the streets, on the same streets. Second, the cost of getting cash, buying fuel for your generator, and paying rent went up. Inflation basically happened. So when you enter a crowded market without anything special that sets you apart, you are no longer competing on value. You are forced to start competing purely on who can suffer by offering the lowest price in the market. And in an economy where prices are always rising, competing on low prices when you don't have deep pockets or established structure as a big business, it is going to be a trap for you. How to spot high profit business opportunities in Nigeria. To find real lasting opportunities, you have to look at the systems operating underneath the daily life in Nigeria. It is important to look at the system. And when I say system, I'm talking about the set of rules, the processes, and the people that come together to get things done. Every economic system in Nigeria has 3 basic parts. The first one is the core need, the major need, what people or businesses actually must achieve to survive or operate. The second thing is what I call the gap or the breakdown point, where the current process fails, wastes time, wastes money, or causes people stress. Then the third part is the money flow, how and where people are currently paying money to deal with that gap or the breakdown point or that stress in the system. You see that profitable opportunities do not just appear in thin air. They don't just happen. Systems create them. An opportunity is simply the money you make when you step in and fix the breakdown point in an existing system. Now, I want you to think about how life works in Nigeria. Because electricity is not constant, roads are bad, and official channels can be very slow. Almost every system around us breaks down somewhere, you understand? When there's a breakdown, people are already spending energy, time, and even more money trying to adjust within that system. Your job as an entrepreneur is not to start inventing a shiny new idea from the scratch. It's a very nice thing to do, but it is not your primary job in a system like this. Your job is to locate a system where people are already losing money or time and build a simpler way for them to solve that problem within the Nigerian system. That is your job within the system. Businesses that make money in Nigeria, no matter the economy. When you look at the systems I've mentioned, you also need to look at the type of demand you are dealing with. This brings us to the concept I call protected demand. Protected demand simply means demand for a product or service that people cannot easily skip, no matter how bad the economy gets. If you notice, there are some specific group of people you see on social media who are business people that are always complaining about never getting customers, never getting sales. Today they get customers, today they don't get customers. It is because they are doing businesses that may be profitable, but the profit is short-lived because the business is not in the protected demand area. The people like Dangote or Tedola and the rest of them will keep making money because most of their businesses are situated within what Nigerians still need. No matter how bad the economy gets, Nigerians will rather borrow money to afford and buy things from these people because those people are catering towards protected demand. When fuel price jumps or the naira drops, people cut back on things that they want. You understand? Things that they know that are not very basic. Things like new clothes, eating in fancy restaurants, or buying their latest phones. Nigerians will generally cut back on these things. But they cannot cut back on things like basic food, essential transport, primary health care, or cooking energy. That is gas. That is your fuel. That is prepaid. You understand? So when you build a business that fixes a problem inside a system that people must use every day, your business naturally stays alive even when the economy is tough because you know what? People will always find you. Let's take a case study example. Let's pick the Nigeria food industry, profitable opportunities in Nigeria's food business. I want to use this practical example so that you guys understand how things work. Let's say somebody wants to start a business, a farming business, or wants to sell food. And let's look at how food moves basically. From farms to local markets in major cities like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja. If you look closely at the food supply chain or the food supply system, farmers in the north will produce fresh items. I'm talking about tomatoes and pepper. But by the time those items travel down to the retail market, our regular My 12, Bodija and the rest of it, almost half of the food has been messed up on the road. That is, they're spoiled on the road because of maybe bad roads or heat. You understand? Now, the obvious response that the regular entrepreneur will look at when he looks at this problem is they want to go and start buying a refrigerated truck and start moving tomato. It looks like a very brilliant idea, actually. But if you jump into that system without understanding the system, if you jump into that business without understanding the system, you will clearly get overwhelmed by lots of diesel cost, road transport problem, road transport people, their union will collect fees from you. There'll be lots of police checkpoints, vehicle will break down, and you still have not solved a problem. That's just a new headache you've taken, and you are still incurring lots of costs. But if you take a systems thinking approach and you look deeper at where the exact loss is happening, your whole approach about the business will change. For example, all the marketsmen and women selling tomatoes in local markets that we know, many of them don't necessarily lose all the money during transport. They also lose money every single evening because they don't have a simple, cheap way to keep their unsold tomato and other fruits or other foods fresh overnight. These people are forced to sell off their remaining stock at giveaway prices before it rots. Many of us even know that in Nigeria, nearly spoiled tomatoes and other things like that are things people buy in markets. So when you understand that specific breakpoint, you suddenly start seeing the business opportunities that don't require you buying huge things, buying heavy trucks. Instead, you can look at different business opportunities like, for example, you set up a simple solar-powered cold room inside the major markets where market women can pay you small fee per crate to store their goods overnight. You can build a network where restaurants will just place direct orders in advance. So produce from the farm is shipped directly to them, to their kitchen, and it does not need to stay in the heat and transport. Then you also have one where you can supply reusable, lightweight plastic crates that protect tomatoes from getting crushed during transportation. These are business ideas that don't need you to start owning the whole system. If you notice the difference, you see that you are not selling tomatoes like thousands of other traders, and you're not taking up so much cost. Instead, you just found a specific point where things are breaking down and where people are messing money or throwing away their money, and you build a system to stop that leakage. How to know if a business idea will work in Nigeria? So now, how do you actually use this to find an opportunity for yourself today? Before putting money into any business, I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions I'm about to share. The first question: who is actively losing money, wasting time, or getting stressed in the process or in the system right now? If nobody is currently complaining or losing something valuable under the current setup, it means people will not pay you money. They will not pay you money to change it. The second thing is the customer already spending money to deal with the problem? It might not be with your kind of solution, but they're already spending money to deal with the problem. For example, PiggyVest, the app, basically builds an app that allows people what? Save without getting scared that the collector or the person that is collecting the savings will run away. You didn't invent something new. You just basically just improved it for them. And the third question is the problem backed by protected demand? If things get harder economically next month, for example, will people still need that product you are selling or that solution or your service? Or will they just ignore it and move on? That's another thing you must consider. Things can get hard. Make sure that what you are selling, especially if you are someone who is thinking about business that will last long for you, or business that will take care of your bills or pay your rent, you want a business that, has protected demand. When you evaluate your ideas this way, you stop guessing or copying every other person's idea, or when you see a trendy idea, start copying. Nope. You start building businesses that solve real, unavoidable problems in Nigeria. The golden rule for starting a business in Nigeria. Now, here's the one rule I want you to remember whenever you're thinking about starting any business. Do not start by picking a product to sell. Instead, trace how transaction happens in that system. Go take a walk back. Find where money or time gets wasted along the line and fix that specific gap or breakage or leak. Just fix it, but take a walk back and trace everything. Whenever you see a situation in Nigeria where people are constantly frustrated, losing money, or struggling to find someone they can trust, don't just start focusing on, what product can I build now? Nope. Look at people who are losing money because of the headache and figure out how much they're willing to pay to make that headache disappear. And this brings me to a very important law I want you guys to remember. Every breakdown in the system creates an opportunity. But to make real money, you must control the key points where the solution happens. Now, that key position can be anything, because that is the part that people are suffering the most and they need something to change that equation for them. Whether that is, maybe you need to introduce a trusted relationship. For example, lots of people are making money helping Nigerians abroad coordinate building projects in Nigeria. The only thing these people are offering is trusted relationship, because they know that a lot of people are getting scammed. They can give people real estate safe. They can give real estate companies to help them build. They still need somebody who is a trusted professional to go and be monitoring the real estate guys. Do you see it? All they are offering is trust. Sometimes what you can introduce in that key point can be a specialized equipment. Like I gave the example in the food business where you bring a cold room, or the local setup that competitors cannot easily copy overnight. You see, some people do not know that business in Nigeria sometimes does not just end with the government. For you to enter some kind of industry, so you need to understand the informal sector. You need to know the moniles. You need to know the market women. You need to know here and there. That is what some people have over their own competitors that other competitors don't know. Do you get it? That might just be what you need to understand very well to plug into the system. Sometimes you don't need to be sophisticated. You just need to understand how the system works in reality, not on paper. Then you bring in your own. Find better business ideas before competitors. If this way of looking at businesses makes sense to you, hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications. I'm not interested in giving you another generic list of business ideas you can copy today and then you abandon it next month. I already promised you that I will not be doing that. My goal with Inside the System is to give you clear frameworks you can use to analyze the Nigerian economy for yourself, you spot real opportunities and make better financial decisions. Drop a comment below with the sector you are watching right now. Whether it's real estate, food, transport, or tech, just share it in the comment section and tell me where you see things breaking down there. Let's talk in the comments. I'm Francis Oti. I'll see you in the next video. Of course, subscribe, like, and share.